you're a teacher with dreams of starting an online tutoring business so you can teach on your own terms, do not make any of these 5 mistakes. They kill teachers' chances of building the teaching business of their dreams. They stop you from having more impact, making the income that you deserve, and the teaching schedule that you truly crave. So in this video, I'll break down exactly what the 5 mistakes you need to avoid are if you're serious about building a thriving online tutoring business in 2025. Plus, I'll show you exactly what you should do instead. Stick with me in this video if you want to start and scale an online tutoring business as a teacher in 2025. So if you want to start an online tutoring business in 2025, there's 5 costly mistakes that you need to avoid as a teacher. And if you get one of these mistakes wrong, or you make one of them, you will not be able to make the income, have the impact, and build the teaching independence that you deserve as a teacher teaching your dream students online. So right now, I'm going to walk you through a guide what I put together a while ago that breaks down exactly what these 5 mistakes are so that you're set up for success in launching your own online tutoring business in 2025. And I'll also show you exactly what the solutions are to each one of these mistakes. So let me share the guide on the screen and I'll walk you through it. And if you watch to the end of the video, I'll show you how to get your hands on this guide as well so you can read it and implement it, what you're going to learn in depth. So let me load up my guide. I'm going to walk you through it. I'll share the screen and I'll talk you through it. So let's jump in. So now I've got your attention. Here's the 5 mistakes to avoid when launching your online tutoring business. Mistake 1 is wanting to teach everyone. And again, I'll share with you exactly why in just a second. Mistake number 2 is pricing your tutoring services too low. 3 is the delivery model that you use to how you teach the students. 4, building a website. If that sounds crazy, wait till we get to step 4 and I'll share why. And then 5 is not using paid traffic. Okay, so let's jump in. So let's walk through mistake number 1 first. Now, I'm sure you've heard this. The reason why this is a mistake, you've probably heard the saying, don't be the jack of all trades, become the master of one, right? Well, this is a really common mistake that pretty much every tutor makes. And here's why. When a teacher is in the early phases of growing their business online, it's normal to just have that light bulb moment of, hey, I can see the online tutoring space booming. I know I'm good at teaching maths, or I'm good at teaching science or English or whatever. So that means there's going to be an abundance of students that want to hire me. I can just go and market myself as a French teacher or a Spanish tutor, okay? There's going to be no shortage of students who want to reach me. Well, the answer to that is wrong, okay? Because what actually happens is you just blend in like another pebble on the beach, right, with the rest of the marketplace. Because, of course, there's so many other teachers of had this light bulb moment as well. So if you look the same as everybody else, you are simply, as I've got here on the document, a generalist, okay? You're just a generalist, okay? You're just gonna blend in, you're a commodity, right? So just imagine a group of fishermen all throwing out the same bait, standing at a lake, throwing out the same bait to catch the same fish, okay? So that's exactly what this is. It just becomes a race to the bottom. Right? And when you're stuck in a competition and a price war like this of who can charge the lowest, and that's not what you want to go into in your business, right? You don't want to go into business just to blend in and be stuck in a price war and have too much competition. You want to be set up to win right from the beginning. So if you get this part right, the whole thing is doomed, okay? Everything else is like building a house of sand, okay? It's just going to have weak foundations. So what do you need to do instead? Well, you need to use the framework that I've developed called the rule of 1 so that you can stand out as a teacher when you start to market yourself online to attract your ideal students. And this actually influences everything else I'm going to walk through in this document, and you'll see why. So when you're deciding who to serve, which students you want to teach in your tutoring business, there's 5 key questions to answer. 1 is which one subject do I want to teach online? Okay, should be easy because you should be watching this if you're a teacher and you're an expert at teaching something, right? Now, you might be able to teach many subjects, but if you teach one subject, you will get more attention inside of the marketplace. So once you've narrowed the subject down, the next question is which one student do I want to help within that subject? So you think about the age range, the ability level, school year, so the grade that they're in perhaps at school. And this is really important. You'll see when we get to mistake 3, on how this influences that one. Okay, so for example, if you teach reading, where are students going to benefit more from learning to read, or where do you get the most success with your reading students? Okay, so that's what you want to think about here. Now, the next question is, what is the one result that you help your students achieve? What can you help them do? Do you help them get a 1500 SAT score? Do you help them jump 2 grades in their reading? Okay, so people pay for results, right? So you need to be able to help the students achieve one result, something that's tangible, something where you can say, yes, we've done it. Okay, we got to the result that we wanted to. If I wanted to climb a mountain, it's very evident when I'm at the top of the mountain. I either made it or I didn't. So that becomes part of your marketing message. Here's where I'm going to help you go. People want to go to a destination. Okay, so you want to define what that is. Okay, so now once you've got the result, let's use that mountain example. I don't want to just climb to the top of the mountain just to stand there and go, hey, I did it. There would be a reason behind it. It might be for charity. It might be to do with some sort of competition I'm doing. It might be a personal challenge. You know, whatever it is, there's a reason why I wanted to go to the top of the mountain. Okay, so it's the same for your students. There's a reason why they want the 1500 SAT score. There's a reason why the parents want their child in the 1st and 2nd grade to be able to read grade level. Okay, so what is the one single benefit that the result that you're going to help your students achieve? What is the benefit behind it? Okay, so for example, it might be securing, like I've got down here on the document, it might be securing a place in a top university, or they might want to pass their chemistry exam or organic chemistry so they can go into med school or MCAT exam or whatever like that is, or they might want to become, they might want to play their first song on the guitar because they want to become a musician when they're older. Yeah, okay, so that way, when you can start to communicate this, you're going to appeal more to your ideal student. And then the last step is to ask yourself, what is the one curriculum or the one roadmap that your students would need to follow in order to get to their destination? Okay, everybody needs a roadmap, right? And if you can show them that first we'll do this, 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 then it's going to demonstrate that you're actually a true expert, and plus, people will invest into somebody who's an expert. If I go to the chiropractor because I've got back pain, what's going to happen? The reason why I'm going to the chiropractor is because I know that they're going to present me with a rehabilitation plan to improve and cure my back pain. Okay, so really important you can do that, and that becomes unique to you, your unique way of helping students, which helps you stand out. Okay, so they're the 5 things you want to be able to master and answer. Now, once you can clearly identify the answer to those questions, you can build what's called a unique message. Okay, you've got a signature tutoring offer. You're going to stand out, so you can start getting more attention when you start to market your services. Okay, you'll quickly be seen as the go-to tutor by your students. Now look, a lot of the time we hear this objection, hey look, this makes sense to a degree, but aren't I minimizing the amount of students that I can market to? Okay, well, look, you can either choose to become like that premium bottle of champagne or sparkling wine that the grocery store or store keeps behind the checkout, and they advertise it as premium and it's in like a glass case, right? And it gets more attention, it stands out. Or you can choose to be the bottle of sparkling wine or wine that just gets shoved on the shelf with all of the others, okay? That people will go and look at them and they just compare the wines on price, right? Rather than the ones behind the checkouts, they already know it's like the premium priced one, okay? And people desire it and they want it, okay? So I've worked with, thousands of teachers at this point, and so you need to build strong foundations like this so that you've actually got something that's going to set you up to become profitable, okay? Now, mistake number 2 then, let's move on to that. This is pricing too low, okay? Again, this happens because a lot of teachers doubt themselves or they lack the sales skills. Remember, sales are skills, so you can, of course, build them. I can talk you through a bit how we can help with that potentially. Now, if you price your services too low, obviously teachers out there, right, charging like $10 or $30 or whatever it is per hour for their time. Now, in essence, what those teachers are doing is they are sticking a price tag on their head and saying, hey, my time is worth this for the next hour. And when you get stuck in this model of charging by the hour, for your service, it's a disservice, right, to the students. You're putting a ceiling on your business. Okay, to earn more, what do you have to do? Well, you have to work more, and there's only so many hours in the day. So immediately you've stunted your business's growth potential, right? Because it can only earn more if you work more. Okay, and that's not a business, that's a glorified job. Okay, so this creates a big problem down the line, and I'll jump into that in mistake number 4. Okay, so the reason why this is a big mistake is really down to a few things. One, it's a disservice to your students, because if you aren't charging what you're worth, obviously you're not going to be able to create that life-changing experience for your students. You're not going to be able to provide the best resources, the best learning experience for the students if you're just charging low hourly rates and selling your time by the hour. Okay? Premium rate means you can provide a premium service. When you go to a hotel, because you paid more to go to a top-class hotel, you have the people waiting outside to greet you. Hello, sir. Hello, madam. They take your bags and you get looked after, right? But if the hotel charged a low rate, and when you go to a low-class hotel, they don't do that because they can't afford to, right? So, there's no need to justify why your services as a teacher are priced the way they are. If you get your students amazing results, that's all that matters. Okay, and plus when you charge more, you get more committed students. So it's going to be a win-win for everybody. You can help the students succeed better, you're going to get more committed students, you're going to get paid your value and your worth as a teacher. Okay, and plus, if you price too low, you don't create the margins inside of your business to build the cash flow reserves and the profitability to advertise and grow. I'm talking about hiring tutors to help you with this, everything like that. Okay, and plus if you can't invest in things like advertising, then obviously you're not going to get that message that we spoke about in the previous step. You're not going to be able to pay to place that in front of other people, and we'll come on to that in a bit. Okay, and so therefore it's going to be like setting up a shop in the desert. If you can't advertise because you've priced your services too low, you're not making and bringing in enough, you're not going to be able to market it, and therefore nobody knows your business exists, so you're not going to get many students. You're not going to know where your next student's coming from. You don't have predictability. Okay, so don't feel guilty, right, about how to about pricing your services at a premium rate as a tutor. Okay, because if you do, and you do price on premium, you provide a better experience. You'll get more committed students. Okay, and it'll actually help you build the life that you want at the same time as well. Okay, so the solution here is this. Now, one of my first mentors told me, when you price lower, your customers will make decisions based on price. When you price higher, however, your customers will make decisions based on how important the result is to them. And I've found this to be very true. So in essence, people pay for results. If my back pain was crippling me, I'll pay, and the chiropractor told me he could fix it, I'm going to pay it in an instant because it's worth it for me, right? So this is why having that unique marketing message is so important as well. And that's what we spoke about in mistake number 1. Okay, so here's some recommendations on how you can package your tutoring services to allow you to price premium. Okay, so I would create a package that lasts anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks instead of pricing by the hour. And I've gave this example before in some of my other trainings. I send my daughter to a lot of different extracurricular activity clubs, right? One she's going to at the moment is a basketball club. Now the basketball club don't tell me, hey, it's this much per hour. No, they tell me, here's the fee for next term, right? If you send your kid to a private school, they don't tell you, hey, there's this many lessons in the day, this is how much it's going to cost per lesson. No, they say the term fees are this. Okay. All right. So you need to price your services and package them up similarly into like a semester or a term so that people aren't isolated on, oh, so it's $30 or $50 per lesson. And then they place a value on what's actually happening in that lesson. No, price it over a length of time. Okay. And then you can charge a higher rate. Okay, so now you can actually collect more cash, right? So I could say, hey, it's $1,000 for the next 12 weeks. Or we've even seen teachers make this really work with $500 when they're just starting out before they're able to build the sales skills and so on to charge more. I've even seen on the higher end, tutors charge up to like $4,000 and above For example, you can see on the screen one of my clients, Quinita. She's from Texas. She teaches reading to third grade students, right? Now, she was charging $2,000. I think it was like 2,200, but let's just say $2,000 for about 12 weeks. Okay, and as a result, after just 12 weeks, she generated 50 grand in her business. So she was able to leave the classroom and focus on tutoring full time. Since then, she's gone over and done over 50 grand and more in a single month. Okay, now that's only possible because she had a premium priced service. Okay, now that type of growth, obviously you need to have the right delivery model, which is another mistake that teachers make when starting their online tutoring business, to allow you to have the growth that quickly, and I'll come on to that next. Okay, so this is mistake number 3, the actual delivery model. So you'll have seen if you get access to this document on page 3, I skipped over it in the video because I wanted to get straight into the thick of things. I had some results from some of my clients. And if you've been following us online at the Teacher Project, you're probably thinking, how are teachers doing this? How is it even possible? Well, here's how they're doing it. The teachers that we work with online, they're not building their businesses teaching one-on-one. Sure, they might take a few one-on-one students in the beginning here and there to build some confidence, but long-term, that isn't the model that they're going to use. They're going to use group tutoring. They're leveraging the power of group tutoring. They're creating leverage inside of their business, not selling their time. Okay, so when I first started working with tutors, I identified this mistake immediately. Okay, and it was so obvious that teachers were just, trying to go online and start an online tutoring business, and they were just stuck using outdated one-on-one methods, right? Which meant to even make this work and make it a viable job or business, they were having to work 40 to 60 hour weeks. So, I had one client, Alan, who was teaching 40 hours a week one-on-one just to make this full-time thing. Otherwise, and that was just to match his classroom salary, right? And so he ended up getting fully booked as well, didn't have any time with his family, blah, 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 right? And so what good is that? You actually, at that point, might as well just stay inside of the classroom because it's more secure. And plus, your income is capped, your impact as well is capped, because there's only so much you can make if you're teaching one-on-one. And if there's only so much you can make, there's only so many hours, there's only so many students you can see. So everything is capped. And your life is capped because you've created a job, okay? So a business then, to start an online tutoring business, is something that doesn't have these constraints on it. A business needs to keep growing, right? So if your tutoring business offers one-on-one lessons, as I was saying a second, it'd just be far easier and safer, I believe, to just stay as a classroom teacher, okay? It just doesn't make much sense. I'm not saying it's not beneficial for the student. I'm not saying it's not beneficial for you to do a few one-on-ones to gain some experience. That can help to validate your teaching methods online, but it's not a long-term solution. Okay, so when I first brought this idea, I first brought this idea to tutors, and I didn't really see anybody doing it at the time. This was back in 2020. There was a few people doing it, but it wasn't mainstream at all. When I launched the Teacher Project and I presented this to teachers, say, hey, we're not doing one-on-one, we're doing groups only. Because it's not scalable for you and I can't help you get the results that you want, right? Now, objection 1 from these teachers said to me, and these were teachers who were already tutoring online, yeah, we know that that's obvious, but the issue is nobody wants group tutoring. They all want one-on-one. And I already knew at this point there was really a few things that you needed to share and teach and educate parents and students on to help them change their minds that group could be viable. So I was pretty easily able to share that with the tutors so that we could transition and basically remove that objection. And now, obviously that's been solved because all of the teachers that I work with, they're all selling group tutoring at higher rates than what other tutors were selling one-on-one lessons for. Now, the second objection, so many teachers thought that students get better results one-on-one instead of groups. And the answer to that is wrong. Okay, now I'd already figured this out because when I left teaching in 2015, I went into the fitness industry and I set up a personal training business. Now, I had clients, and I was working in London, I had clients that would pay me more, okay, for that group lesson, along with 5 other participants. So I had 5 other clients in the lesson. They were each paying me more than what the normal personal trainer was getting one client to pay them for a one-on-one session. Okay, so, and that's because I could get them better results. I wasn't reliant on what just went on in that one personal training session, in that group session. It was everything else that I was building around the session that allowed my clients to thrive. Okay, so I bought that group delivery model that I was using, you know, 5 to 5, into the tutoring space, and it absolutely crushed it for all the clients that I was working with. Okay, and so we've really kind of, you know, changed the game when it comes to the tutoring space, and it's really kind of the, you know, the done thing now. So, and the most important thing is obviously it allows you to make sure your students' results aren't jeopardized. And so, because results are sales for your business, okay? So you can't sacrifice student results. So it's not just, so the reason why a lot of teachers were failing with groups, or they do fail, is because they're just reliant on having a weekly Zoom lesson or whatever. Okay, so there's actually 5 elements that are required when working in a group with students to help make sure they get better results for one-on-one. Now, I can talk to you about that at the end of this, but I don't want to get too off topic. But the most important thing that you need to understand on this mistake, and to make sure that your delivery model isn't wrong, is to make sure that you're setting your business up right from the beginning that allows you to work smarter and not harder. So you can scale impact and income, but not your workload by selling your time. Okay, so have the confidence to go all in and teach groups, even if you need to start with a few students in the beginning, get some experience, and then you can expand your groups. Okay, now, like I said, I'm not saying that one-on-one doesn't work, but if you want to have big impact, if you want to have better income, if you want to have more teaching independence, control your schedule, I don't think that's going to be wise long term.
Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps that I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace, and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out, and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me, but I know you're going to love it. Teaching on Your Own Terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments, and go and pick up your copy today.
So if we go down here, remember the mistake number 1, and I was saying about wanting to teach everybody. So you might be asking yourself, okay, cool, I can see now and understand why groups are important, but how do I even get students for groups? Well, here's how, right? So remember I showed you my rule of 1 framework when we addressed mistake number 1 on wanting to help everybody. That's why this is so important. Because if you now attract the right students who've all got similar issues, similar problems, similar age range, subjects, or whatever, now they can be grouped together, okay? Otherwise, you end up getting a load of students, if you don't have that unique marketing message, that are so different from one another, they can never really be grouped, okay? Unless you've got a team and a big established tutoring business already, and you can place the students in existing groups. Okay, that's probably not the majority of you watching this, okay? So that's why identifying your ideal students is so fundamental. And here's a quick golden nugget, so that when you do speak to parents and students about your tutoring services, if they've got the objection of, I don't want a group, okay, simply tell them this story. Hey, look, if we run group sessions, and the reason why this is so important, Mrs. Smith, is because let me ask you a question. If I'm going to send little Johnny to climb up Mount Everest, would they be more successful, do you think, going there on their own, relying on their own motivation, their own willpower, and having a weak support system, just relying on themselves? Or would they have a better chance of success if they were with a tribe of other students who also wanted to raise their standards, who also wanted to get better, that wanted to go to the top of the same mountain, that actually wanted to be there, that could push them and motivate them because they could see others succeeding, which gave them the belief that they could do this as well, that they can get better at their maths? Where do you think they would have a better support system? In a group of the right students that wanted to succeed, or if we turned them into a lone wolf? And of course, they're going to get the idea and they're going to buy into the group model. Okay, so just that one simple sentence when you're presenting, or if you get the objection around groups, changes the game, and it's helped a load of my clients. So you can thank me for that one later. Now, Debbie, as you can see at the bottom of this screen, one of my clients, she was teaching writing to elementary, primary school students when I met Debbie in Canada and also Scotland. And just using sentences like that in her sales process, and also just obviously setting herself up to teach groups online instead of one-on-one, allowed her to start making 400% more per class. Okay, so if you can see here, oh amazing, do that tonight. I realized yesterday that I've made a 400% increase on my hourly rate. So I was getting 65 for a Thursday slot. Now I've moved that one-on-one to my group. I'm getting $250 for the hour. Okay, as a teacher, what hour you teach is getting paid at $250? Of course it's not. All right, so now let's move on to mistake number 4, which is building a website. Now look, this might come as a shock to some people because you're thinking about online business. How are people going to know it exists? I need to build a website. Okay, and so many people waste so much time doing this. And especially because you want to build an online business, you've got to have a website, right? Well, the answer's wrong, okay? Now, none of the teachers that we've helped, okay, have built websites. Sure, if they had one when they started, it's not a problem, okay? But we didn't use it, okay? And that's because websites are distracting. They're the icing on the cake for your business. If you've got one, I say, I don't bin it, you don't need to throw it in the bin, but having a website is like a load of cars driving down the highway or freeway or motorway, depending on what you call it, wherever you're from, and there's this big billboard at the side of the road. Everyone's just driving past it and looking at it because it's confusing. Sure, some people it might stick in their mind, but it doesn't make them kind of stop, and they don't take the action on it because they're going too fast. Well, this is what it's like when people are browsing online, okay? There's no human connection. There's no control, right, over a website because there's so many pages on it, right? So you're turning your prospects into window shoppers. Because if I Google a tutoring website and I stumble across one on Google, I log on to the website and what do I see? You can see in these boxes here that I've got on the page, an about page, a services page, a prices page, a contact us page where it might be a form, a reviews page, with student reviews, along with a few other different type of things that you might have on there. Maybe some downloads, maybe a social media links page, follow us on social media, okay? So what this does is, it gives the people who are searching online who have actually stumbled across on your site, gives them the idea. Let me type something else into Google and compare it to somebody. Let me Google the next tutor and compare the service prices. Okay, so you're confusing your prospects. You're not controlling the conversation. Okay, and so you want to be in control of what your prospects are doing and where they're browsing. Okay, so you don't want to send them complicated stuff and where it confuses them and they don't take the action that you want them to take, which is just booking to speak with you. Okay, so providing all the information, as I said, is just delaying conversations. And plus, people's attention spans are so little these days that they might be scrolling through your website, so many pages, they run out of time and they just move on to something else. Okay, so just drop the website idea. You'll waste a load of time that you'll never get back because time doesn't replenish. Okay, and probably a load of money in setting up the website in the first place. So here's what you need to do instead. Okay, so what you need to do is use what we call messenger marketing. I'll explain that before we come on to mistake number 5. Okay, set up some sort of system using paid traffic, which is why we're going to talk about that in page 5, in mistake number 5, where people can click a sponsored ad and you can drive them into a messenger conversation and actually build real rapport with someone and have a conversation. Okay, and so we use messenger marketing instead of building a website. The website would come in at the end, as I said, icing on the cake. It works well for branding and stuff like that. So if somebody had already booked in a call with you, you might say to them at that point, now you've secured the call and you spoke to somebody in Messenger, okay? Now you've secured the call. And, oh, by the way, we've got a website if you want to learn more about us. And you use it at that point, once you've secured the action you want the prospect to take, which is booking that call with you, okay? And that's what leads me on to mistake 5, which is not using paid traffic. Because you might have heard me mention messenger marketing. Well, what is messenger marketing? Okay, if I don't need a website because it's confusing and I need to learn how to get people into a conversation faster instead of building something that delays those conversations, how do I even do that? And that's what segues us in here. So mistake number 5 is not using paid traffic. So like I said it before in this guide, the most important part of any business is lead flow. You have to know where your next student's coming from, right? Otherwise, there's big problems. Think of your business like a plant. It needs to be watered, right? In your garden, you've got a load of plants. If you don't water the plants, what happens? They don't grow, and most probably they're going to die, right? So it's the same for your business. If you don't water the business, if you don't feed it, if you don't have leads coming in the front door to have the ability to convert and make sales, business is going to die, okay? So many teachers use social media marketing wrong. So we've got the ability here with social media marketing. We live in like a golden era of opportunity where you can pay Facebook or YouTube or whatever, or Instagram, a little bit of money and say, hey, here's who I help, here's my ideal student. Can you go and show this advert to my exact clientele? And you can target people, right? So you can pay a small fee to do that. So you're able to go right to these people with laser target advertisements. So you don't have to spend hours a day posting flyers or just wondering where your next student's coming from, paying to be in newspapers, hoping that people see it. Remember I said about the billboard a few moments ago? Well, if I stuck a billboard up, I'm sticking it up to everybody hoping that my ideal prospect sees it, okay? You might just be posting posts on social media accounts, hoping that the right person sees it, okay? Writing a blog, offering free lessons, okay? And worst of all, once you start to get some students, waiting for them to give you a referral. Now, that can work, right? Referrals aren't bad. It means you're doing a good job, but it's just slow. It's just unpredictable. You want to have control here, okay? And that was the sad thing that I saw, that the tutors that I started working with thought that referrals were the best way to grow their business. And so they stuck waiting for them, and therefore their growth was slow, okay? So before online tutoring became a thing, nobody really advertised on social media, right? It was the go, and this was because this was what people did. Advertising and digital marketing wasn't a skill that teachers were that competent at, right? It was a little bit alien to them. So it was all about referrals. And so it used to be a lot easier. But now, after the kind of switch, after the pandemic, you have to become a digital marketer and embrace those skill sets. So this is the issue here is teachers aren't willing to learn these new skill sets. And if you want to be successful at this, you have to learn. You have to become the student again, because digital marketing and sales are going to be the two most important skill sets that you can learn as a teacher. So failing to master them and ignoring them is going to cost you big time, okay? So if we go into this, as I was saying here, the longer you're leaving this and delaying it and not being willing to master these social media marketing skill sets, the longer, you're delaying your business growth, okay? And plus, if you aren't willing to invest into your business, and the good thing is about a tutoring business, there's no real upfront costs to get started, right? You can just have a Zoom account, you can teach online. So in what world do we live in where we can start a business that has unlimited potential and not have to pay anything? Well, teachers have that opportunity. So you've got to pay a little bit of money to advertise your services at least, okay? And so it's an expensive mistake. So it's not expensive to market and to advertise, it's expensive to not be advertising, because every day that you're not doing it, there's another day that students out there who you can help aren't seeing your unique message, your offer, okay? So you're gonna pay one way or another. You can pay with your time, and that's trying to work your butt off to get students, and putting yourself out there. And look, time never replenishes, okay? Or you can pay with money for advertisements to get speed so that you don't have to spend your time trying to find the students, okay? Now, plus, if you took my advice above that we've shared or previously in the guide of positioning yourself correctly with a unique marketing message, okay, making sure you've got your services priced at a good rate, okay, and also that you've got a good delivery model that doesn't have a cap on it, then of course at this point, then you're set up for success, because you can invest into advertising because you've got the ability to grow and scale. Okay, so you're set up to win. Now, I will say this, in the beginning, if you don't have finances to invest into marketing and use things like paid traffic, then obviously you have to pay with your time initially to get the finances to be able to use paid traffic. So there is that caveat. But what's not cool is if you do have the finances to get started a little bit, and again, like I said, there's no other real startup costs for a tutoring business. So just having the mindset, oh, it's expensive for me to advertise, that's not the right thinking. That's not the successful mindset, right? Now, look, here's a solution to this. We've tested every single platform. We've worked with thousands of teachers at this point, and the one that's worked the best every single time is Facebook. Okay, it's got more than double the amount of users than any other platform. Plus, it goes hand in hand with what I was mentioning a second, messenger marketing. So what you do, what this messenger marketing is, you place a Facebook ad, you pay Facebook to send this ad to your ideal prospects, or you target a group of people who might be ideal prospects. They see it, they see your offer, they click on the ad. Instead of going to some sort of crazy website, which I was saying was one of the biggest mistakes, they click the ad and they go into a messenger conversation. I call this conversation control. Okay, so now you can control the action and the next step the student's going to take. You can speak with them, right? You can actually build rapport. You can establish trust. Here's a screenshot from a client's ad account, okay? So this is one of my clients, Arif, and you can see here, cost per result, this was a website submission, all right? So he was getting people into his messenger and then he was giving them their booking calendar, and it was costing him £15 only to book a call on his calendar. Okay, so now let's say Arif spent £150. That, in theory, should get him 10 booked calls, right? Now, let's say that only 50% of those students showed up for the call. So he spoke to 5 people. Now let's play lowball and said he only closed 2 of those 5 students, okay? Now, even just 1, right? Now, if you followed my advice and you'd be spending and you'd be charging $1,000 when I told you about the pricing. Now, again, you might need to boost your sales skills to get there. You might need to get some testimonials from students to get there. But let's say that you get to this point inside your business. So if you were to enroll 2 students of that, you've brought in $2,000, okay? So you've turned $150 or £150 of ad spend into $2,000. Now, I'll give you this example to show you the power of the advertising. It's simply a mathematical formula, right? You need to, if you get good at advertising, you master the skill, you can now dictate what you put in is going to generate you 10x, 15x, even like 3x. I mean, even if you're generating 3 times what you put in, and if it's the same example as if I was at a casino and I could put $1 in, and every time I did that, $3 would come back out, how long would I stand there? I'd stand there all day, right? And so here's one of my clients, Anthony. This is when we first launched the teacher project even, and Anthony was doing dance, all right? So this is why you can't make the mistake of not learning these digital marketing skills, because once you master them, and I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm showing you the potential when you do get good at it, okay? Anthony put 500 in, got 14 grand back out. It's a 24x return, okay? So that's the power of mastering these skill sets. So don't ignore them. They're going to dictate or unlock your next level of growth as a teacher once you master this. So there they are. There's the 5 most common mistakes to avoid when growing your tutoring business. 1, wanting to teach everyone. 2, pricing too low. 3, the delivery model. 4, building website. 5, not using paid traffic. Now, if you want to dive deeper into this, I'll put this guide in the comments below, or leave a comment if you want to grab it, and you can go in and read it in more depth, because there's a few other pages inside the guide. But if you really want to dive deeper and you want to learn what you should do, and you want to learn more about how to create your unique message, you want to learn more about the advertising strategy, and you haven't picked up my book yet, Teaching on Your Own Terms, I recommend you do that. It's way more in depth. Plus, when you grab a copy, you can grab it on Amazon, or you can grab it on my site with one of the links down below as well. I go into each of the 5 phases of building your dream online tutoring business at a much greater level. Plus, there's a free course that you can get access to as well once you grab the book, and the link to get that's on the first couple of pages. So go to Amazon or use the link down below. Go and grab a copy. It went to bestseller in 7 categories, so I know you're going to love it. Aside from that, thanks for tuning in for this video. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button wherever you're watching this, or the like button, leave a comment. I'll see you in the next one.